Welcome to a special edition of the Hamilton County Basketball Coaches Show. I'm Brad Silbert. We are joined today by Chris Huppenthal, the head coach of the Hamilton Southeastern Lady Royals. And Chris, I know it's a little bit belated, but obviously congratulations on the state championship last spring. Great accomplishment for the Royals. But now we're back into another season. Summer has come and gone. Practice is just about over, and come Thursday night we'll start games in that. But how did summer practice and everything go this year for the team?
That was good. The turnaround was quick after making the run that we did. It didn't seem like we got a lot of time off between that last game and the summer, but summer's fine. It was good.
Now coming up this season, obviously 22 games on the schedule. 7 of those will be HCC games, but in addition to the HCC games, you guys are playing 6 opponents that are now ranked either in 4A preseason or in the Coaches Association preseason is top-ranked teams. Talk a little bit about the schedule that you guys are going to play, and philosophically, your thoughts about playing that kind of a schedule.
You know me better than that. You know which game we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about Ben Davis. It's probably not going to go much further than that. I really haven't even looked at the schedule, who's ranked, who's where they are in relation to any of that. Ben Davis has got a very good team, a couple good players coming back, and Goss and Newsom. They're going to be quick. In fact, if you check our schedule last year, it was the closest game we had all year in the regular season. So haven't thought too much about anybody else other than them. And you know, with the team that we have right now, we really have to just focus one game at a time. I mean, while we do have some veteran players back, we do have a lot of youth, and that youth just needs to set sights on what's right in front of them, and not the road that we haven't seen yet.
Well, not only speaking of Ben Davis, but the Southeastern Shootout this year, the Shootout, you guys are hosting that on Saturday and first game on Thursday because of the volleyball championship. But there again, right out of the gate, not only Ben Davis, but Center Grove also.
Yeah, and to talk about that just for a second, I mean, what a great problem to have, that we got to play Thursday, switch our game. Jason Young, the volleyball team's playing the state championship, which is so exciting. I know for them, but I think for our school. I know when we had the opportunity to make that run, it was so special for our kids. So it is a special time for them, and the fact that we've got to move our game is a good thing for our volleyball team. But again, going back to Center Grove, I know they're good. I know they've been good in the past. Haven't seen anything on them yet. The only team that we've seen any film on or anything right now is Ben Davis.
You lost a lot of talent from the team last year, but of course you have Sydney Parrish as team leader this year. Talk about the difference that this team is going to, you know, how this team is going to look a little different this year.
It's going to look a lot different. And one thing that I've tried to impress upon these kids is that they don't have to try and live up to what happened last year. Winning a state championship was great. It would be great if we could repeat, but also they need to set their sights on being just better each and every day, trying to get better each and every game. We do have some young kids, some kids that have not seen a lot of varsity time. Lauren Morris, Bailey Poor, Michaela Hinshaw, Ryan Veely, Bree Baker, who are all returning letter winners, did not see a lot of time. And then we got some freshmen coming up, Riley Makaluski, Olivia Brown, and Lauren Stewart, who I think are going to push for some time. But this team is just, it's got a whole different look to it. Behind Sydney and Jackie Malucci and Lydia Self, I think we got a good supporting cast, and we're going to try and build initially around those 3 because they do have a lot of experience, but I think some of the kids that we got coming in are going to do a very good job for us.
Offensive and defensively, will we see anything different this year?
Yeah, we're losing quite a few inches on the defensive end. You take Tay Irvin off, who's 6'2". I always said this, team's coming down the floor, Tay Irvin's standing there waiting for you. She's 6'2", 7-foot wingspan. That's intimidating to start with. And then Amaya Hamilton, again, another 6'2" player. It gave our defense the impression that there were not a lot of space in there because of our height. But this year, I think we're a little bit quicker, a lot less height to us, but it's going to be a much different look for us.
I think the credit to you also goes into the program is that you take players like Malia Jackson, Amaya Hamilton, several of the other seniors that you had, and many of them have gone on to some great Division 1A teams. To make their Taya Irvin down there in Kentucky somewhere. I can't remember, Western, Eastern, Northern,
Northern Kentucky,
whichever one it is.
Yeah.
But in that, and it's neat to just follow the kids.
Well, and they put a lot of time in. They put a lot of time in, and a lot of credit has to go to them. They're getting these Division I scholarships. I hope I'm helping a little bit, but 95, 96, 97% of it is them, and they need to get the credit. It's their work ethic. It's the time that they're putting in that's getting them where they want to go. I would even say this coming year, I don't know how many times Sydney Parrish and Jackie Malucci have called me, text me, email me, hey, can I come and get your keys to shoot in the gym? Yeah, and those are minutes where a lot of kids are out, doing whatever. That these girls are in there working on, trying to get to that level and putting in a lot of time to do it.
Let's talk a little bit about the Hoosier Crossroad Conference. You play 4 games initially here later this month, and then just before Thanksgiving, we go right into the conference schedule.
You're trying to bait me into this again.
No, I'm not baiting. I'm not baiting into anything. I just like your input in, how do you, what's the conference looking like this year from your perspective?
Well, and I'm going to go off of last year. I know Brownsburg's going to be one of the better teams in the conference. I do know they have an injury in their point guard, Nowie Becky, but they got a lot of returns. Fishers is going to be very good. Katie Burton, Tamia Perryman, and they have a good supporting cast around those kids also. Westfield's got some injuries, but Jenny Smith does a great job there. Franklin Central's going to have a different look to it. Avon's got a lot of players back, a lot of returning players. Our conference, whoever wins our conference is going to earn it. And I would say out of all 8 teams, there's a good majority of them have a great shot at winning our conference this year.
It's a great conference.
It really is.
Conversations I have with a lot of people, they'll say, well, how do you compare to the MIC? And my opinion is the HCC and the MIC. Maybe one day the HCC's up here and the MIC's here. Maybe the next day it's just back and forth. And I think they're 2 extremely good conferences, and it makes for some great competition.
Yeah.
And it makes for some great basketball.
Yeah, we're not trying to compare ourselves to the MIC because I think our product stands alone. There is no comparison. There's a lot of great players in our conference. There's a lot of great teams in our conference. There's a lot of great coaches in our conference. I'm excited, proud, and honored to coach in our conference, and there's no other conference I'd rather be in than this one.
In a few minutes, Sydney Parrish is going to sit down here and talk to us, but just talk about what Sydney brings to this team, Chris.
Well, this year she's going to be the glue. In the past, obviously, people have seen what Sydney can do on a basketball floor. There's always been a quiet confidence to her, and I think everything kind of came full circle for her last year in the state championship game. She's had a lot of great games, but when I say full circle, the whole state got to see it. And they got to see what I get to see every day, and I know what I get to coach every day, which is a great basketball player. But I always say this about Sydney is, and that's all people see is what, when she puts on the uniform, she goes on the floor. But what I think I'm most proud of, and the things that really endear me to Sydney to my heart is she's a wonderful person, and you don't find that in athletes all the time nowadays. There are a lot of athletes with a lot of skill that really don't immerse themselves in the school the way Sydney has. And this is the way I described Sydney a few weeks ago. A lot of elite athletes feel like a school is privileged to have them in their school. Or with Sydney, it's just the opposite. I think Sydney is honored and proud to be a Royal. And you don't get that a lot of times with kids. And I think that's part of what makes her special, is that she wants to be here to make not only herself better and a better person, but she wants to make the school better. And she is going to leave the school in a much better position than when she got here. And I think for any kid that wants to be an athlete or in a band or whatever sport you're doing or whatever activity you're doing, that's what you want your legacy to be, that the place is better when I left it than when I got there. And I think that is such a true statement for her.
Well, Coach, we wish you all the best this year. Hopefully you'll have a good, successful season. And as I said, Sydney will be joining us here in just a few moments on the Hamilton County High School Basketball Coaches Show, brought to you by Logan Street Signs and Banners and Noblesville Trophies. Welcome back to the Hamilton County High School Basketball Coaches Show. I'm Brad Silbert, proud to be here on behalf of Logan Street Signs and Banners and Noblesville Trophies. And we are joined now by Sydney Parrish of the Hamilton Southeastern Royals. Of course, Sydney had a major role in the Royals on their championship run last spring in that. But before we talk about basketball, Sydney, I'd like just to know a little bit about your background and kind of what makes Sydney tick.
Well, I grew up in a very basketball-surrounded family. Both my parents played college basketball. My uncle played college basketball. My aunt played college basketball. So ever since I was young, I was just born into a basketball family, and I just fell in love with it since I was young. And I'm really competitive, so I think that really makes me tick. I love competition. I hate losing more than I like winning, so I think that's just something that has always been with me, and just competition's really what I love to do.
What's your family mean to you?
Oh my gosh, my family means everything. You will always see in the stands a whole section of both sides of my mom and my dad's family, family and friends. Literally, you will always see them. My grandparents are there before, like an hour before the JV game even starts. Like, they love basketball just as much as I do, and they mean everything to me. They are my backbone, like supporting me the entire way through this.
Do you ever remember not being involved as basketball as a child?
No. I started when I was super young, and I feel like I was always just in it the entire time. I feel like basketball is a huge part of my life, and I think that was really just always been with me.
Now, I know here at Hamilton Southeastern that you've been involved in a number of other activities and things. What kind of other things have you been involved in through your school career?
So I'm in the Student Athletic Council, which I think that's a really cool thing to do because you get to be with all the other athletes in the school, and you just get to represent your sport and get to talk with all of them and go to other sporting events to support everyone else. And I think that's a really big thing because some people won't go and watch a volleyball game, and now we're at state, and now there's a ton of people going to watch, so it's kind of cool just going to support those teams when not a lot of people do sometimes. And I was in peer tutoring with the special ed students, and I loved that, really enjoyed that, and trying to hopefully do something for not just HSC but some of the community with special needs kids, and trying to get them involved with sports like basketball. So I'll try to see where that goes. So yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're not only obviously involved with the basketball, but you also believe in giving back to your community and your school. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it sounds like that's very important to you.
It is. I chose HSC. When I chose HSC, it was a really hard decision, but now that I'm here, I'm putting everything I can into it and trying to leave it better than when I came.
Let's talk about the 4 years here. We're not even a third of the way into the fourth year, but you obviously started as a freshman, and basketball. Your career just started off with a bang with your first game, and I think that was against Ben Davis, if I remember right. And that was quite a debut for you.
Yeah, it really was. It was a rough game though. It was double overtime, and at the end of the game we had 4 players on the court because everybody fouled out. And as a freshman, scoring 31 points in a game as my first game, it's hard. It's really fun, but it's hard because then I think it puts me on the board for everyone to see. And I think it was hard at first, but I think it got a lot easier, and I trusted my teammates and they trusted me, and I feel like we all became really close, and it was good.
Let's talk about those teammates. How much do they mean to you?
They mean a ton. Like for my freshman year?
All through your career, yeah.
Oh my gosh, they mean a ton to me. I still see some of them, like Olivia Kegley. I saw her about a month ago at one of the football games, and she just gave me the biggest hug. And I see some of those when I was a freshman, and seeing them playing in college now, and seeing the seniors from last year playing in college now, it's ridiculous. I talk to them all the time still, and I miss them so much. It's like they were my sisters, and now I don't really get to see them as often, and when I do, I really cherish those moments.
last year you decided to commit to University of Oregon. What went into that decision?
So much, a ton of time, a ton of stress. But in the end, it was all worth it. I mean, the recruiting process is a lot of fun. It's really hard too, and it can get really stressful, but I think with the help of my parents, they helped me manage it really well, and I didn't get too overwhelmed with anything, and I think I made the perfect decision, and I'm really excited to get out to play at Eugene.
How did you keep the recruiting process separate from not only the basketball process, but your school process? Because you really have three items that are all, kind of tugging at your shirt sleeves.
Yeah, it was actually really difficult because I would have the recruiting process going on and my high school games going on, and I didn't want them to conflict with each other, and I was really trying to just focus on the games and winning games during season. But then again, I had the recruiting process going on and coaches asking me when they can come in to watch and come to games, and I didn't really want to worry about that because I knew we had to win games, and we made our run to state last year, and that was all that really mattered. But then on the school side, I mean, they watch your grades all the time, so it's not like you can be lazy with it. Some people think that since you are being recruited to go play a sport at a college, then you can just be lazy in the classroom, and it doesn't work like that. They're always looking at your grades and making sure you're on top of things. So it's a lot of time management, but I think I handle it pretty well.
Let's talk about the run to the state last year. That was just an incredible run. One loss all season, and just I guess in my terms, what I would call a dream season for you guys.
It was definitely a dream season. I couldn't have asked for a better season. I mean, with our one loss, we learned so much from that one loss, and I think it made us closer as a team, closer on the court and off the court, and closer with our coaches also, because we had to put trust in them for what we did wrong as a team and what they could do better as coaches from coaching situations. But I think we all grew, and I think it really helped us with our run to state. But it couldn't have been a better season.
Let's talk specifically about Lawrence North. You played them twice last season.
Yeah.
Home game here, and then of course down at Bankers Life in the championship game. And I remember watching the home game here, and it was a challenge, but it wasn't what I would call a real tough game for you guys. But my opinion, and this is just from my observer standpoint, I thought this was one of the better teams that you guys played all year.
Yeah, Ellen's a very physical team. They're really, really athletic, really physical, really fast. Different than a lot of the teams that we usually play. So, I mean, the first game we played against them, we played super well. And once they got into tournament time and started knocking off these really good teams, I think they just turned it up another level. And we knew that they were going to come at us hard. And like you saw in the first half of the state game, I mean, it was a close game the entire time. And they were really, I mean, that's a really, really good team. And they lost like one senior from last year, and I think they're going to be a really good team this year again.
What made the difference to get you guys over the hump to get the championship in that game?
I'd have to say at halftime, Malia Jackson looked at me and said, "You need to take over this game." And for a senior to tell a junior that, I think that was a huge deal, and it kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. There was just a moment where I knew like there had to be something done. And so I knew I had to try and take over the game, and I did as much as I could, got the ball to my teammates as much as I could, and I think the rest is history.
It was an exciting time. I mean, just being there and being able to watch that game and see that game, it was most definitely an exciting time. Well, Sydney, we wish you all the best of luck this season, and all the best of luck out at the University of Oregon and whatever the future brings for you. We appreciate you being here with us. This is the special edition of the Hamilton County High School Basketball Coaches Show. We've been joined by Sydney Parrish of the Hamilton Southeastern Royals, brought to you by Logan Street Signs and Banners and Noblesville Trophies. I'm Brad Silbert. Good day.